Hello and welcome. And today I've got something quite special, in the sense that I'm not going to be talking about koi fish or goldfish. Today I'm going to be adding a fish and answering some questions and queries you might have about adding this fish to your koi pond. And is this very interesting fish here. Now this is an albino longfin pleco. Now I've had this in my aquarium for about, I'd say maybe 3-4 years now. And every year for the past, I'd say 2 years, in the summer, I've brought this pleco outside and placed it into this indoor vat I have, which is about, if I take a step back here, 7 foot by about 4.5 foot. Now, you're probably wondering, how on earth am I able to keep an aquarium fish, like the albino pleco, in an outdoor pond with koi fish in the UK where the water really isn't that hot? Now, in today's video, I'm going to be covering sort of how I actually do that, and why, you really actually can keep common pleco fish in your koi ponds during the summer if you really need to. Now here in front of me I have what is commonly known as an albino longfin pleco fish. Now like I said, this fish is about 5, maybe 4 years old, and every year I've placed it into this pond here in the summer. Now you're probably wondering how I do this, and to be honest, it's quite simple. Now you may think it's not safe or not suitable for the fish, but you can actually be more wrong. This tank here, or this pond I should say, is completely perfect for a pleco fish like this. Now, the reason for this is 2 main reasons. And these 2 parameters, if you're able to meet them, will allow you to do the same thing as me. Now, the first parameter being this algae you see on the side of the tank here. Now, this tank has a nice thick lining of this sort of side algae, should we say, that sits on the edge of the tank. Now, those of you that kept pleco fish obviously know that their main food source is algae. So if you have algae around the edges of the tank, like I do, that gives pretty much an infinite food source for these pleco fish. Now in aquariums, they struggle with eating the algae because once they've eaten a certain area, there's not really much left, and that's the same in my tank. So you have to end up buying algae wafers and other sort of food, sort of sustenances to feed your fish. But if I keep them in a pond like this, there's simply just not enough algae for them to be able to eat it all. There's just plenty of algae in here. They simply cannot eat every single piece of algae in this pond. And from that, it means that they have pretty much an infinite food supply. Now the next parameter that needs to be met is water temperature. Now, any time in the summer when it gets over, I'd say about 26 degrees, you can have a safe bet that after a few days, your tank or your pond will be at a suitable temperature for your pleco fish. Now, I don't recommend anything below 20 degrees if you're going to put your pleco fish in the pond. And if you want to test that, you can go to a shop and buy like a £2 thermometer, just to double check. But once your pond gets to about 20 degrees, now this one's about 23 to 24, anytime it's above that temperature, you can add a pleco to your pond. Now, for me personally, the only reason I do this is more just for the fish itself. Not only does it help clean the algae on the sides, it also helps the fish have a better environment. It's a much larger tank than the aquarium I keep it in, and also there's plenty of food for it. So that's one of the main parameters you've got with me. But you may be wondering about the health of the fish, if it might get attacked or if it might be sort of assaulted by other fish in the tank. Because as you know, koi fish are quite inquisitive. And with this albino pleco, they may have the tendency to sort of nip at it and such. But yeah, nothing to worry about in that regards. Plecos themselves are very well armoured fish. They have very thick sort of outer walling, really nice spines on them. So you should have no issues at all with sort of the protection of the fish when you have it in a pond like this. Now I've got the pleco here, so what I'm going to do is get it sort of into some slightly different container and let it acclimate for about 30 minutes before I place it in. Now I'm going to let it sit for about 30 minutes, then I'll release it back into the pond. So it's been about 30 minutes, so I should probably get out the tub now. It's just been floating around for a little bit. So I'm going to place it into the little blue tub and then I'll get it in. And now it's in. It's a really nice fish, one of my favourites, and hopefully it'll grow quite nicely in here. But I'm just going to release her now. There she goes. Down into the new tank. Now I probably won't see her for quite a while. If you'd watched my previous videos, you would have seen that I added a just regular common pecker fish in here. And I haven't actually seen that one in a while. I saw it this morning on the pump back there. But that's the kind of the thing with these peckers, is you won't really see them until like certain times. Now, I don't recommend you leave them in here until like, I recommend you only leave them in here till about like August time. Once it starts to cool down again, you want to get the fish back out. But it's quite a fun thing to do for the fish during the summer periods for the fish. You know, it does quite nicely for them. So anyway, that's it for today's video, guys. Hope you did enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one.